All right, so before I start, I want to ask you one question. Who of you heard about Isaac Asimov? Okay. All right, so there are some slides about him afterwards, but it's good to know if I need to go in more detail or not. So, the Asimov principle, I spread the presentation in 3 parts. The first one is I try to frame what the problem is, and then I would present one example and then a solution to this problem. And basically my presentation, the first part starts with a personal story. And the story goes like this. In a rainy day in the autumn, after the summer was over, I felt like I didn't have enough summer. And it was a mutual feeling between me and my wife. And we started Googling where we can go. And we decided, okay, there is a school vacation here in Saxony in the beginning of October, so we can take one of the weeks, the first 2 weeks, and go someplace where the weather is nice and there are convenient flights. And so we Googled it, we found a place we liked, we found cheap flights, convenient flights, and then what happens? Next day I go to work, I make sure no one misses me at this time, I announce it, I put it in the calendar, it's all fine. Then I go back home, it's on Wednesday, so there's Champions League, a friend is coming, going to watch, I start booking. I put out my names, then I find, oh damn, the luggage pieces cost us twice as much as a person. How much do I need? There's a discussion. We experience, we can go with one, but maybe we go to this vacation, I don't want to limit myself to what I take, I want to go some snorkeling and whatever, so we decide we take 2, at some sort of discussion there. Then you go to the next step and you find out that there is a real danger that you would sit apart from your family, and they notice, then they give it to you as a message. Do you want to risk sitting apart from your people? And I was like, what kind of person do I be? And there's this emotion of, yeah, good. The initial idea was cheap flight and everything. It's only several hours and then it's a week. But never, I'm not such person. So I booked the places. And in the meantime, my friend had come. Champions League had started. I was there booking. The next step was that I was convinced by the provider that they have the cheapest rental cars. So I took a car, but then after thinking, okay, maybe I Google and see if there are cheaper ones. I found a cheaper one, and I couldn't take the car out of the basket. And Champions League starts, the guy is sitting there waiting for me. I close the computer and say, okay, I'll continue tomorrow. The next day, I open up, and I see the price is nearly doubled. Yes, I was so gutted. There's this feeling of loss. Yeah, I missed it. I missed this chance, and I was like, just on principle, I'm not going to buy it. And I tell my wife, and there is this little awkward moment where something dies in her because she's already there mentally. Yeah? She has prepared herself to be there. And it was not a good time. Then I start in the evening hectically trying to find where we can go to the same price in some other place. And I couldn't find something. I couldn't sleep well. And the next morning, I just went into the website, booked the 2 luggage pieces, placed it all together and booked the thing. Called my wife and she was on the 7th heaven from joy. Yeah? She was so happy that I did it. And what I was thinking is, damn, I should not forget to check in online because I have a friend who didn't do it and they charged him €50 per person on the counter. So, first question is, which is this company? Exactly. And the second is, with this example, what I wanted to convey or frame is the thing which we see as a checkout flow or some sort of funnel, conversion funnel, whatever, the thing we describe in user stories, but also describe in CSS properties and code or whatever. In fact, it is very, very similar to the stories we consume, let's say, in a book. With the difference is, I am not observing a protagonist, I am the protagonist in this case, and I experience all these ups and downs in this very simple checkout process. And so, what I want to frame here as a problem is that a product or a feature is in fact a story, and the product itself is just made of all these stories. And if this is so, if the feature that we build is a story, and a powerful one, what is then the process of creating it? Then the process of creating it must have similarities to writing a book, let's say. And when you write a book, what you have is you have your natural language, and you have to have mastery in it. You have to structure it in correct sentences, then you have paragraphs, then you have chapters, then you have maybe volumes of your books. You have to sequence it correctly. In digital products, yeah, it's all happening in terms of our how we write it, in what programming languages, how we structure it, and everything. But it's what I claim here is that in essence it's very, very, very similar. So that was the framing of the problem. Feature is a story. The process of creating it is the same or very, very similar to writing a novel or something. And so my practical example takes me to my company, Lecturio, and the way we practice their Agile is we tried through the years, we've tried Scrum, we've tried Kanban, and in the end we ended up using a form of continuous planning where the planning starts on a very abstract level for the year, then it is then more contextualized on the quarter, and in the quarter the teams have specific projects to do to fulfill the goals set for the quarter and therefore the year. It's a whole team effort. It's not unusual that a developer would sit with the product owner and someone else and they would sketch together what they have, what they think is the solution to the problem they have. And we time box it. So basically, we take in relation a project that we made in the past, and we try to foresee, okay, this now, what we are doing, is a similar thing. So this would be time boxed in the same way. And right, so this is how we work. And we have basically, Lecturio is a video-based e-learning platform. It has a product for the end customers, but it also has something for enterprise customers. And this product for the enterprise customers, in the first quarter of this year, basically the enterprise customers, in their case, someone from HR or department leader takes some content and gives it to them in a group license, so to say. And through the years, we've built everything ourselves in terms of recording and publishing the content. But in this quarter, first quarter of 2017, there was this requirement that the enterprise customers should independently create courses and upload video content. It was a pull from the market, a very classical Kanban principle. And we thought, okay, something like this, we'll give it a shot in 5 weeks. And I'll give you some more background here. This is what a course is at Lecturio. Basically, it is a collection of these entities. They are called lectures, and they contain videos and questions. So they're the basic building blocks. And the course has some additional things like title, description. There is an image there, and it's nested in some other courses. In this case, it's not. It's only one, but there are also nested courses. And this is a development environment. As you can see, the company name there, the enterprise company is Acme. And whoever is familiar with the Roadrunner can understand how serious customers we have. And so the enterprise customers find their courses in a list somewhere. And the way the content has been historically created is through two places: FTP upload or restricted access console. Then it goes to a place called content entry server, and now we can go a little bit more technical. It's an implementation of a finite state machine, which distributes the content to be transcoded, which means that the origin is then from the origin input format, there are video tracks created, other formats, and so forth. Then this content entry server puts it on the content delivery network and the backup content delivery network, and in the end informs the main system that this video is available. And it is possible that one video is in many lectures, one lecture is in many courses, one course can be in many courses itself. And what we have there in the end is, this is not from our system, yeah? So I just Googled it and found something, but when I found it, I thought, well, it might be similar, because these big nodes, our verticals where we aggregated content around certain topic, and the others are something else. This thing has been built over 8 years. It has been tightly and narrowly tailored towards our needs. of our internal production department. And now this thing, with all this complexity, had to be given outside. And the team felt a little bit anxious. So they were absolutely frightened. Where do we start and what do we do? So this is the status in the beginning of this project. And in the time of this project, I was reading the autobiography of Isaac Asimov. Therefore, I am going to use some of his advices and show you how we did it in this one project. So first, some background information. Who is Isaac Asimov? Isaac Asimov is one of the greatest sci-fi authors of the 20th century. Basically, he, so his history and the history of his family I would spare here. I'm not going to go into deep detail. I just say that he's very, very influential. And there are concepts like robotics, which he brought into this world. He created those concepts. Basically, he thought there are robots, there must be robotics. There was no such thing. And then the other thing, psychohistory is a fictional science. And this science, it's about modeling a society through mathematical models and predicting the future development of this society and creating, again, based on mathematical formulas, some sort of inputs that can change this future. And now this thing is a fictional science, but it has been an inspiration for a person who got a Nobel Prize for interstate trade relations based on that. And we all know about big data, and we all know about social engineering, and we all know about Brexit, and we all know about Trump. Yeah? So this fictional science is quite real in some cases. And so the person, Isaac Asimov, he was an extremely, extremely prolific author. He created about 500 books in his life. And this would be like if all of us here, we all start and produce a novel every 2 weeks, will be done in 25 years with what he achieved. So this guy was very, very productive. And I was thinking, okay, what advices can this person give me in my work? And the first advice is that you should know your ending, or otherwise, basically, you might not end up anywhere. Yeah? So if there's another saying, if you don't know where you're going, any way will not lead you there. So basically, he says that you have to define what the problem is, then think of a cool solution to this problem and start developing your story until you get to this point. And this is something which we in product development overall, and I think it's broadly distributed, that we use scribbles like this. I mean, that's nothing new. Yeah, I'm not presenting as something new here. I think it's widespread, and it should be, and whoever is not doing it should be doing it, because this is a low fidelity prototype of what the future should look like. And in this case, this was our end. In terms of someone clicking on a link, going to put in some, to create a course, then creating a lecture on this course, then saving this lecture, and then having the possibility to upload a video there. And afterwards, he could go and edit this course, edit the lecture, and re-upload the video. So this was our end, and that's easy. And then that's also something that is quite common. But this did not help us much. As I said, we had 5 weeks and the time was ticking, so 1 week was already over, and we were not even sure where to start from. Do we change the data model? Do we change the content entry server? How do we slice this work? Do we start all of us working at the same time, or what do we do in this case? And basically, I read something in this autobiography which I thought that might be interesting for us to try. And that is an advice that Isaac Asimov got from his publisher in the 30s, where they both came up with this really great story that Asimov should write, and Asimov was just writing like a machine. He was just producing and producing and producing. But in this case, he couldn't start. He was just starting and throwing away, starting and throwing away. It's something we all know that happens when you have a creative process. And he went back to his publisher and said, what can I do? It doesn't come out. Yeah? This story doesn't come out. Should we just skip it and go to the other one? And then he got this advice. Asimov, when you have trouble with the beginning of the story, it's because you're starting in the wrong place and almost certainly too soon. So basically, he suggested that since they both know what the end is, they should start just somewhere closer to the end, very, very close to the end. And this is a good thing. And yeah, an end is a good thing, but as the German saying goes, everything has an end, only the Wurst has two. And my revelation is, it's not only the Wurst. It is also the digital product, because a digital product has on one end the user experience. Let's sum it up like this, yeah? So there are many, many things going in there, but let's sum it up as the user experience on one end, on the other end is technology. So Steve Jobs says that you should start from the user experience and make your way back to technology. And, but if they're both not right, if they're both not good, then your product overall is not really great and not good. And so in this case, we had to ask ourselves, what is the place where we would start from, which is close to both these ends? And we've picked this one here. Basically, it's a straight story which starts with the editing and re-uploading a video. All of these things already technically exist in our system. And so they're pretty straightforward here. There's nothing that we should, break our heads about. And one person started. He did the edit button in the course list. Unconditional. No checking. Do you have the right to see it? Is this what course is this? Blah, blah, blah. Unconditional edit button. Super simple. Displaying the course information and making it editable. Super simple. This thing I already showed you. There was a course page, so you can just call the same methods, you have it. And then you save it in the same place. How you can control it, it mustn't change. So, and then a list of contained lecture. Super easy. They're already there. Links to edit them. Again, unconditional. All of them have links. Same with the lecture. Edit of the information of the lecture. And in the end, a little bit of a basic implementation of re-uploading a video file. We basically hacked our finite state machine and created a new entry point later in the states. And this way we achieved this as well. So, and that's the end of the story. But we're not done yet, because it's only the end of the story. And this story is not a minimal viable product. You would not ship this thing. It would be ridiculous, because everyone would be able to edit any course, and it will be a disaster. So this cannot be shipped, but it's our end, and our end gives us new possibilities. To illustrate them, I will jump you into another topic, and this topic is murder mystery. So, the detective, Monsieur Hercule Poirot, has gathered in this room, in this fine English house, all the suspects of a murder that happened there. We've been given some information about them, and we all have suspicions, and they all suspect each other. And in the end, we think, okay, could it be the butler? It's always the butler, isn't it? So, nope, in this case not. It's this innocent-looking lady. No, I made this up. I mean, I don't know what this shot is from, which movie it is or story. I just thought, okay, let's make it a little bit playful. So, it's her. What happened here is, if you start this book, you have this little information about the characters, and then you have the end. But then you're in the middle of the book. And the technique that is being used is flashbacks. So basically, people start asking questions. And how can it be her? She had an alibi, and something like this. And so, back to our case. In our case, we started asking questions related to our problem. And they are, why is the user seeing these edit links? Well, he has been given a certain right by an organization admin. So, one person can start working on this. The other nice thing of when you have your end already is that then you can spread the effort. So far, starting with whole team on this unclear thing is a disaster recipe. You have so much overhead. People get so irritated and impatient with the pace. But if you have one guy, you have him totally committed to this thing. He has total focus. He does it till the end. It's a simple story. You get to the end, and then you can start with all of them. And one guy or one developer took this question and developed a solution to this question. And the good thing is also you can link back to your end. So you have all the time you stay real. You have the agile value of working software over some sort of specification or documentation. So the next thing is, how do we distinguish these causes? Again, the question someone starts, do it. What if the browser crashes? I said that the upload process was really the quickest thing we can do, but then we needed to do something else. And because video files are usually something like 500 megabytes or gigabyte long. Someone did that. Is it a visually pleasing experience? Someone did that. And you can continue asking those questions and refining your story until you have something to ship. And any moment you have something to ship, you ship. And basically, you close the book and you're ready to move on to the next thing. So, in short, the Asimov principle, and I'm sure there are many, many Asimov principles claimed by many, many people on this earth, so I'm not affiliated to any or endorsed by his hairs in any way, but the Asimov principle I took for myself is know your ending, start close to it, and then flashback. Because it's easy. So, that's the Asimov principle. And